Okay.
Gosh. Okay.
Now you can start.
It's red. It's recording.
It's red and it's recording.
Welcome to the podcast. We talk TV shows, movies, and games. Welcome to the podcast. If you don't watch it, you're insane. Welcome to the DweeBros podcast. I am here with my homie Jacob. Say hello, Jacob.
What's going on, guys?
I'm here with Travis. Say hello, Travis.
Hello.
Welcome, and the host with the most, the ghost with the most, Zach, the quietest one in the group.
Yeah, those wired headphones weren't ready for this kind of workout. You're definitely
Welcome to the DweeBros podcast. As I said, we talk TV shows, movies, video games, and other crazy things. Has anything insane happened to you this week? Let's start out. I want to get crazy.
I'm trying to think through of my week of the things I've had to do because it's like it all blurs together right now. Like I don't know why, but like working from home has gotten busier. I haven't had like that extra step of leaving my house for the insanity.
Yeah.
So all my insanity happens here.
Feel that all the insanity happens in front of the screen.
That's an interesting way to put that.
We're recording this, if you're listening right now, we're recording this in the morning, and I stayed up late. I was playing Elden Ring a little bit later than planned. So
why would you do that, though? It's the same as every other open world game.
Yeah, it's the same.
There's a lot of conversations I have about that game. But, yeah, so I just stayed up really late. So then I woke up like 20 minutes before we got started. And I was like, oh, crap, I got to get up and do this. And I forgot.
I'm in my garage right now. Looks like I'm about to get my driver's license photo taken. But we're doing house renovations, and it is a mess. And it's noisy. And I said, I cannot have noise on the podcast. It has to be as even leveled volume as possible.
Did you go to the
yelling.
Contractor and say, do you have like a silent screwdriver? Like do you have like a silent hammer that doesn't make any noise? Here, let me show you my video game. On my video game, I can put a silencer on this gun and then no one can hear it. So how can you stealth this up?
Can you be a little quieter? Also, we had a contractor. So we had our counters in, and we had somebody so we have a really cool contractor. We've got a cool contractor, and then somebody had to come in and like put countertops on in our kitchen. These people, we've been just finding razor blades all over like our driveway and our kitchen. We had to get them, and our dogs are sniffing around. It's like, oh, don't want our dogs to be eating razor blades. So picking up razor blades. They're like the bad ending to the video game when you have razor blades all around your property. So
I didn't know you had people working on Saturday. Like, who in the world would want to work on a Saturday?
Well, yeah. Well, my family's coming and helping like today, but it's just like it's so noisy in there and stuff, and but it's been crazy. So,
well, at least you're almost.
So that's why I'm out here in the garage with a jacket on and a space heater. I'm in the doghouse, as they say. But
well, at least you're closer to being done with the house, because I know that process has been absolutely insane for you.
Yeah, I do have good news. Right off the bat, I'm out here stuck in the corner of my garage, but something else was stuck in the corner of a garage for a year, an entire year. My Halo 2, I sent in to freaking get graded. Wada Games, shout out Wada Games. You guys you put me on the express lane. I paid for the 90-day return window. And it was 365-day window I went with. But their updates were really like, I got so desperate at some point because I was like, is this not coming back? Because I was reading online, people were like, yeah, it took over a year, it took this, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Sounds crazy. And I emailed the main contact thing, and like I didn't even get a response at first. It like took a week for them to respond. In that time for them to respond, I went on their About Us, and I found like the heads of the people, and their emails were on there, and I was shooting on emails like, hey, I have not got my thing. Like, can you figure this out? And they never emailed back, but I did get something like soon after that, like, hey, like we're working on it and stuff. But yeah, it's been that long of a process to get this thing. So
you were ordering it, or you were sending it in to get graded?
I sent it in April of 2021. Maybe like into March, actually. I sent it in, and they received it in like early April. So coming up on an entire year it's taken to get it because they got
God.
bought out at some point, and then there was another update. It's like we're like if you go on their homepage, they would say like, sorry, it's taking a little bit longer. We're pushing back days by like 30 days. And I'm like, try 5 months. But one of the updates recently, they said we're moving to a different location, so all of our stuff is getting moved over. And I said, great. So all the stuff that's hidden away. So it took even longer. So.
That's interesting to send something in to get graded on its condition, and while it's there, they're gonna move buildings, which could definitely degrade it. Like,
Yeah.
what the?
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So, well, the thing is, I will say about 2 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, I got an update, and the update was it was in the post grading stage. And what I could do is I could actually click it and see what they graded it. So I think it was already graded and they like were waiting to like ship it out. Is on an assembly line. I don't know what process they got there, but clearly it took a while. But I could see the grades, but I didn't do that because I'm going to open it live for a video.
So
and I'm going to talk about how I even got this sealed copy of Halo 2 and what happened.
Is it the silver like metal?
It's a silver metal one. So I have a little story to go with it, and I'm going to do that and then open it at the end of the video and stuff. But
is it still in the plastic?
It's still sealed. That's why I sent it to get graded. That's the ones people usually send to get graded, is ones that are still
sealed copies.
Yeah, sealed in the shrink wrap. So
that makes sense. That definitely does make sense.
What is the world? I don't know anything about grading. What is the world of outcomes here? Is it like a 1 through 10? Is it?
Yes, it's different. It's different companies that do it, but I send it through Wada Games. Shout out Wada Games. It'll take a year to get to you, but they grade it from a scale of like 1 to 10. 10, of course, being like the best. But they give like 8.5. They give 0.5 also ratings on there and stuff too. But it comes in a plastic shell, and at the top it'll show like I'm also holding this weird thing. This is like for shoes.
What do you have a shoe?
I'm out in the garage. There's like crazy stuff out here. I can get my tweezers too. Just ask if you want to see other cool stuff. Little camera. But what was I saying? So at the top, they have a little sleeve that says the name of the game and the rating and stuff. But it's all like they pack it in. They seal this thing airtight. It's going to survive the apocalypse. So that'll be around when I'm gone. But it's just
it's a good game. When you get it back, you should bust it out and play it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it and go, man, it's time to play this.
Yeah, rip it open, dude.
But what is crazier is people will, on the card side, I don't know if video games will do this, but on the card side, they will crack open these things if they don't get the grade that they want. They'll crack it open. But doesn't, and Jacob would know more about this, on PSA, can't you, if you don't get the right rating, can't you like say don't pack it in and just ship it back to me?
Yeah, you can basically like forego the rating because sometimes people don't want to get, an 8. If you get an 8, you're like, I could sell it for more than just what it is, because someone else might want to try to get it graded because it looks like a 10. It's kind of crappy, but it's kind of the same time like you're trying to make the most money if you can.
Yeah, well, if I'm the grading company, I am totally fine if you don't want me to wrap it, because that's a future customer for the next person that gets their hands on it, probably.
But that's crazy that I guess why would you crack it open if you got it back and you didn't like that scale? Those people have to be buying those on eBay, right? They have to be buying. Yeah, they have to be buying them already graded, because you wouldn't like say for it to be graded and then you can see the grade.
Well, so a lot of people, they just want to make the most money they can make. Yeah. So like 7s and 8s in the world of cards aren't worth anything. You need a 9.5, 9 to 10s are the ones that you can actually like, oh, that's worth something. Yeah. That's actually worth like my time and money. Yeah. So, but 8, it's hard to tell. Like if you get like an 8, I don't know if you guys ever seen it. Zach, you have an 8, don't you?
I have a 3, a 4, and an 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
I got those Pokemon cards I wanted.
Yeah. If you look at like an 8 rating, it's so weird how they get to a 10, because you look at that 8 and you're like, I don't see why. Yeah.
Maybe I should crack Blastoise open. Maybe I should crack them open.
What do you mean by crack it open? Like it's in a...
It's sealed in a plastic slab.
It's in a slab.
And what people are doing, they're taking like pliers or whatever, and they're cracking that slab so they can get the card out and then resubmit it to get a better grade.
Wait, don't you have the Shining Lugia? That's a 9 now?
Yes, I do have that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you do have a 9 too.
I do have a 9.
I'd be interested in doing like a scientific study of get like 80 or 90 cards, get like some funding, send the same cards in to the same company multiple times. Just crack it open every time you get it back and see the variation in the grade.
Well, some of it depends on if it's manually graded or if it's like print scan graded. Like ASA, which is a grading company that's become pretty popular lately, they have a machine that does print scanning. So basically, they have the original cut of the card that they deem a 10, and they have it loaded into a database, and they put your card in a machine, and it based on how close it is to the original card, that's how you get your grade. So that to me is like, oh, that's cool because it's like quicker. But people are like, well, there's no like validation. It's just a machine. Machines can make mistakes. I'm like, bro, so can humans. Like,
yeah, I would trust the machine over human.
Shut up, man. Like, you're crazy. So yeah, that's the kind of crap you deal with.
I could have possibly got a 5 with my Charizard if it wasn't for the human.
I don't know enough about that industry. I'm curious, like the ethics around, like, do they know who's sending these cards in, and do they make deals with like YouTubers to like, hey, maybe I will throw you a 10 so you could talk about us on your channel, like that kind of stuff?
No, I don't think it's like that, but they do have package deals. So if you send in a bulk set of cards, they'll give you a deal in terms of pricing and stuff like that. But in terms of the integrity, PSA, like they aren't going to do stuff like that because they do have a very high integrity, especially with the sports world. Sports cards, man, they're
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, but I mean, you're not wrong. I'm sure if it's like a smaller company or something like that and they want to get more rep, it wouldn't surprise me someone.
Now, didn't PSA recently get in hot water? I heard Kenny talking about this, where they faked that stamp, that first edition stamp. So there's different when those Pokemon cards, I don't know if they still do it. Do you know, Jacob, if they still put the first edition on all the newer cards?
There's a way of it, but it's not really like a normal thing, no.
Yeah. Well, on the early, that base set, the old Pokemon cards, when the first set came out, they put a little first edition thing in the corner. Well, someone faked that. They I don't know what they used, some film thing, and they actually were able to like print it and fake it on there, send it to PSA, and they graded it and didn't and said it was genuine. So people were freaking out like, oh, how many have they done that? Or it's so easy to fake it out. But they've been around since the 90s, so I trust them. I trust PSA.
Yeah,
I'm with PSA. They just made a slip up.
What does that mean? Yeah. They've been around since the 90s. I trust them.
I trust it. Anybody that's been around since the 90s, you got to trust them.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what that thing is.
Oh, you haven't heard about that? Okay.
No, I never heard of it. Because like some people are like, for example, I think of the first edition of Pokemon cards, of the like original ones, like, you know, the Shadowless set, those kind of things. Yeah, those things are worth a ton of money, like 100%. And so it'd be really annoying to see it faked. But when it comes to like sports cards, like they're known for their sports card. PSA is known for their sports cards. It's not really the.
Have any of you guys gotten into sports cards at all? I feel like you guys are sports nuts. Do you do that?
I just never, as a kid, I didn't have the money to collect stuff. I mean, I just
I didn't either.
That wasn't like a thing for me. Like,
yeah.
So I just didn't even, it never registered as a thing. But my dad did, when we started hanging out again as I got older, he had a box with like all these Bengals cards. So I do have some like Bengals cards, but they're not like, they're good Bengals players. And like I have some rookie cards of like AJ Green and Gina.
Get them graded. Get them graded.
I could, but I might, like, to me, like AJ Green's rookie card is of sentimental value. It could be a 10 and it doesn't really matter. He's a good player, but he's not, you know, like a, you know, a Super Bowl champion or anything like that. So to me, like, I don't know how much those things cost. I just keep them in a shoebox and I look at them every once in a while. So
yeah, it's really tough because like you sit there and say like, oh, what are the best football cards you can own? And some of it's just based on the series. So like sometimes they'll run a series and it's just a really nice looking series. They did a thing called Mosaic, which was like a series they ran in 2021. And basically it was just a purple outline of a card. So you had a card and you had a purple outline and it was really cool looking. And that series shot through the roof. It got really, really a lot of exposure and people really wanted them. And yeah, it had a diamond background. So like I think you could get you got the rookies like Jalen Waddle and stuff like that you can get from them. But then they also do the old school players. So you see players like Warren Moon and like people would buy like David Mills, which
kind of like the Pokemon celebrations, but for older players.
Well, some of them are, but some of them it's like it's a wide spectrum. So like you buy the rookie card because you're like, what happens if like David Mills or like Zach Wilson blows up and becomes like a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Well, now you have their rookie mosaic card. So not only do you have one of the most popular sets of 2021, but you also have the rookie card of it. So you wait 20 years. It's like a 20-year investment.
Yeah.
Because you hope that they become somebody.
Who is the Charizard of the sports card world? I feel like you would know that, Jacob. Like who? It would have to be a Michael Jordan rookie card or something like that, maybe.
I could probably look it up if you give me right here.
I do know the most expensive one I've seen, and I keep seeing this one. It's from like 1923, like the first set, and it cracked me up. It was one of like when PSA first started, someone sent it in to get graded, and it was like they had them in like cigarette or like chewing gum packs. Was these baseball cards?
Yeah, they do chewing gum.
Yeah, and the one that they sent in, there's only like 20 in the world. And it's of this, like, it looked like it's this 1920s player. And the one that got graded got a scale of like 1 to 2. The card is ripped in half. And it went for like $400,000. Because what had happened is like who was collecting back then during the Depression?
Yeah.
You're just trying to like survive
And to me,
not
like,
die.
that's the stuff I find interesting is like, this is valuable because it physically still exists. It doesn't even matter what condition it's in. Like, I think that kind of stuff is exciting and cool. When there's like 100,000 copies of something and this one is just marginally better because it didn't sit in the sun, you know, or whatever. And it's just like the most minuscule stuff. To me, it's like you can call that value and it'll get an inflated price because it's a 10. But like I could find for my own purposes that I like looking at a copy of that card for $2 on eBay probably. Like I find the stuff where it's genuinely rare more interesting.
Yeah, to have a ripped up card is cracking me up. It is ripped in half. I've never seen a ripped up card. It's like that went for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it's
so
ungodly rare. Like
when it comes to like football cards, it all depends on the number of them printed and like the type of player it is. So it actually turns out the best card you can get, which doesn't surprise me, is the Joe Namath rookie card that ran back in 1965. Joe Namath made a name for himself in the Jets. So that's actually currently like the best football card you can own.
That's the Charizard.
Yeah, that's like the top tier card.
Joey Charizard.
Like, you know what's funny? When you go to modern players, like and you start scrolling up, like you try to think through like, oh, who would you think of like in terms of modern players who'd be the most like rare card? Maybe Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, different things like that. Andrew Luck's Contenders card that has his jersey ripped up into it. They only make 1,200 of them, and it's like one of the most valuable ones because it has
supply and demand. Yeah,
and it's Andrew Luck. People loved Andrew Luck, and he retired early.
Yeah. Well, I think his jersey.
I think similar with these cards, because I got the Halo 2. We're going back in the collector's video game market. I think those N64, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy. I think those will always hold their value because they're freaking cardboard boxes. Like, there's going to be ripped up boxes still going for thousands, I think, in like 30 years, 40 years.
Those
like,
are
ripped
cool
up
to
boxes,
collect because they have really cool art on the front too, and they're like these 90s timepieces. Like they
but I also think it goes with how hard it is. Like, how did you get that through like natural disasters and time and like moving and because like even my collection I've had to like treat like careful and whatever, and they've been in closets before and stuff, and I've had to move them around, and it's hard to, keep that stuff.
No, I'm hard with you.
It's hard out here for a collector, but we don't just collect; we play. And I believe there is a game that we have all played that has changed our lives. That is, there is one ring to rule them all, and it's the Elden Ring.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Tetris for a second.
Oh.
Hey, I love Tetris. I'm talking about Tetris right now.
Yeah. They need to make an open world Tetris game, and then we'll talk,
They pretty much have one. But
that could actually be kind of cool. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Elden Ring.
Puzzles is yours.
Well.
Elden Ring.
That's a lot.
I would just say.
It's good.
It's really, really good. As somebody that loves the series, it's been really cool for me to see so many people. When I say series, I mean it's From Software has been on this roll the last like 12, 13 years making these types of games. So that's what I know. They're different IPs, a lot of them, but it's been so crazy to see a lot of my friends who either don't play those games at all or only play like maybe a couple games a year, like Call of Duty and Madden. And then like they're playing this and they're like playing it a lot and they're playing it with groups of friends. Like that has been pretty crazy for me. So I'm sure we got a lot of thoughts, but I mean, I'll kick it over to Zach or Jacob, whoever wants to talk more about it. And I
think that's the main thing is that, yeah, like you said, like a lot of people I know, like, oh, I just picked it up. It's pretty cool. Or I never played any of these games before. I always wanted to, and, started here. And it's crazy to see how mainstream it's been. Like people that, like you said, that don't play these games are able to jump in. And as these games are it's always the difficulty. It's always the difficulty is like the focus. Hey, should there be an easy mode? This is too hard. I don't like to play these type of games. I feel like this solved the difficulty scale entirely because you can summon in people, you can summon little helper enemy things in, you can get on your horse and hit people and run around. Like you can change the difficulty scale by just doing different stuff. You can cheese the whole game, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't beat the game yet, but there's a lot of places where I could have made it ungodly easy for myself. I could have summoned in, magic users. I could have summoned in like people online or whatever, and I didn't. Or sometimes I did. Sometimes I needed that scale to go a little bit easier on this way, so I did summon people in, and that's cool. Like it makes it less frustrating. It makes it like you still get that rush of the difficulty, but you can scale it. You can, whatever you're feeling that day. Whereas the other games were unrelenting. They were hard from beginning to end. You were stuck at that boss. Whereas this game, you can go to a boss and go, I don't want to. This is too hard. And The Witness, which we've talked about on this channel, when you got to a puzzle you couldn't do, you just turn 180 degrees and go the other way and find something else. And this game allows you to do that as well in a From Software setting. So it's really every problem that we've talked about has been fixed. Even the multiplayer is still weird. How you have to summon people. They do got to put your finger down. You got to do like crazy things to just get people into your freaking world. But that is even easier. But every issue that I've talked to in the past through these Dark Souls games has been fixed in my eyes, like the problems I've had. Yeah. So that's been really cool. It's like, man, they've checked off everything that I had a problem with. They've fixed it. Like it's culminated to the Metal Gear Solid 5 of the series. Like every gameplay thing is just maxed out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with a lot of that.
No, I mean the game. I will say this. I am not a fan of the Souls series. I'm not even a fan of the Souls genre. I am enjoying Elden Ring. I do have some issues with the game. I don't think it's this polished, like amazing, top tier, put on the throne type of game. But I'm enjoying it. I've been playing it. I think I don't know what our plans are with this game because I think I'm way farther than you guys are. I think Zach, you're what, level 40 something, and Travis, you're like 60.
Yeah, 62 or something.
I think I'm 49.
Yeah, so I'm like level 155.
Did you do all that legit? Like you?
No, I there's a bird you can go. No, why would I do it legit? That's such a waste of time.
As I said, the scaling, you can do however play the game however you want. You played it this way.
This is where I have some issues with the game. Like, you have such a divide where people like are throwing a fit because you have people who are like purists by heart and they're like, you have to do the grind, you have to get your butt kicked, and I'm like, no. I want to go shoot a bird, make it fall off a cliff, give me 11,000 runes, and I'm going to do it every single time until I get to a level where I can one-shot things. Then the game's fun. Like, that's how it works for me. Like, I don't enjoy grinding. The concept of grinding does not make a game fun. And it just never has and never will. Yeah, so
you're throwing a lot out there. I want to respond because I don't. Go ahead, though.
No, so it's just like the idea, like, and when you go through Dark Souls, when I first started playing Dark Souls, and it was very linear. You were stuck in this one way. You had to go only one way, and they typically would give you like a branching path that you could also go down. But no matter what, the part that ticked me off about that game was if you died, you had to restart. And some of the NPCs were just unreasonably difficult. Like, I don't want to learn how every single NPC fights. I just want to be able to swing my sword, kill them, and move on. Where Elden Ring, I feel like I don't have to do that. Like, the NPCs are very bland. The people you fight are very bland and very simple, which is good because for me, I just swing and kill them. And the magic in the game is so overpowered that you can literally just point and shoot and kill them. I have a friend who's never played a Souls game, and he has an all magic build, and he's almost done with the game. And he's like, "This is a good game. I enjoy it." Like, man,
that's why I really like this game, because you kind of made it this way into a hack and slash game.
Yeah,
you kind of made it into a different genre than what people are used to with these games, and the different grind that we're going through. And the way we like to play is way different than what you're like to play.
I just don't really like get the word grind. I haven't grinded at all. I haven't fought. I'm one-shotting things. Like I guess what I don't understand is I would not look at anything I've done in this game or really any of the Souls games after I got used to the first one as grinding. Grinding to me is like what you did, which is you fought that bird 80 freaking times to get 11,000 runes over. That's grinding. I'm just playing the game as it presents itself, and if I hit something too hard, I go to a different area, and then I finish that. So I don't know, maybe it's a difference in the... I have no problem with how you're playing. I think that's awesome. I think that's the beauty of these games. You can play them your way. But to me, this has been the most pleasant experience to play, almost to a fault. I would say if I miss a little bit, it's almost like if you eat really spicy food and the other games are really spicy, and then Sekiro was like a ghost pepper and like I loved it. It was almost like this is like mild now, heat, and it's like it's still good. I wish it was almost a little closer to medium at times. Like I'm level 60. I do a strength build. When I fight bosses, I basically take them out in 2 or 3 hits. And so for me, it's a little too mild, but I'm still really loving the game. But I haven't grinded at all. I've just finish an area, get to a new area. Oh, I can't quite do this. Oh, I'll go over here, go back to that place. Okay, now I did it. Like, I would just say, I feel like you don't have to grind in this game. It's awesome. That's what you wanted to do to get the build you wanted right off the bat. I think that's great. But I think that I don't think anybody has to grind in this game because there are so many options. I like your comparison to The Witness, Zach. Like, there are so many options at any given time. If you're not like clicking with an area, you can just leave and you have 1,000 other choices on how to spend your time in the game.
I'll set a marker down that like shows because you can choose the different icons, and I'll choose like the skull icon if I like am stuck at a boss. Or if I see a dungeon, I don't want to do it yet, I'll set up the little cabin thing or something. Like, yeah, you can just set stuff and you know what it means or whatever.
Yeah, but
I guess I just kick back on the idea of Zach and I are doing a grind and you're not, because nothing about what I'm doing feels like a grind. It feels like I'm constantly discovering new things. I've not fought the same enemy over and over again to get more and more runes to level myself so I can kind of hang. I'm just playing the game exactly as it's presented. So.
Yeah, and that's where I think it's just different because I think that's a grind. I shouldn't have to fight the same thing over and over and over until I beat it.
I don't think.
And I agree with your concept.
I'm not fighting the same thing over and over again.
I would be because I'm not good. Okay. There's a difference. Like you two are good at this game, and that's where like you guys see everything in a different lens. When you look at people like me who are not good at this game, and I'm playing with other people who are not good at this game, we all fight the same battle now. Because you're right, we can get on a horse and leave, but you know what I hate? And I hate open world games. I think open world games suck literal balls. So when I talk about that idea and I'm like, oh, you can go somewhere else. Yeah, I can go somewhere else. Who gives a crap? I don't want to go somewhere else. I want to beat the thing I'm in now because I'm already here. I don't want to have to go somewhere else. So yeah, I hate open world games. I've noticed that with Breath of the Wild. I did not enjoy Breath of the Wild. I don't like open world. So Elden Ring is different because I play a lot of PvP, to be honest with you. I go online and I invade people and I just want to troll them. So I'll go to Stormvale and I love it. I'll go to Stormvale and put my thing down and I'll put it in the hardest part where you're trying to platform across and get to the next part of the boss, and I will be waiting for them and kill them to make them go back because that's fun to me. But nothing else. Just likes
to be a villain of these games.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
nothing
awesome.
else.
No, that's awesome.
You're role playing as the villain.
Yeah, but the game allows you to do that. Is the coolest thing.
But it also means I have to fight 2 people. But I have a blood build, so I have it built out to where I do bleed out damage. And I'm telling you right now, it's unfair. It's absolutely unfair for them because if I hit you more than 3 times, you're bleeding out for 1,000. It's guaranteed. So It's just how it works. And I have a whip with a giant club. So I'm
You're
going to
a
hit
torturer of this game.
But
You're the executioner.
Yeah. With that being said, Travis, I think there's a story to be told. The game allows you to go up to level 700. It doesn't mean you have to, but
yeah.
I will say, as I've progressed in this game, and I will talk about that, the scaling, I don't know if they took a nap during that, but they have completely. I thought I was overpowered in the beginning, and then I get to a part, and I'm like, what level do I have to be good?
Well,
because I'm getting pwned.
Hold on. You're in the story, right?
Yes.
So the game, because it is a longer game than the older games. So in the older games, generally, because it was an open world, you could kind of get to like level 80, I would say, by the time you're at the end of like Dark Souls 1 or 2 or 3 or Bloodborne. You know, maybe you're getting close to level 100, but that's kind of it, right? And so every time you level up, you get a point for one of your attributes. So with this game, because it's so much bigger and longer, I'm seeing a lot of people are more finishing the game around 130 to 150, which sounds like you're at that. But I would say, Jacob, when you're talking about getting one-shotted by bosses, that was because you get so many more level ups. The game is encouraging people to level their vigor and not leave it at 25 the whole game. So if you are getting one-shotted, you need to put more points into your vigor. I see people in the end game up to 40 to 60 vigor.
See, this is where, again, that's stupid then, because I can't use the weapons I'm using. So yeah, now I'm going to be punished because I didn't upgrade the right thing. And I know you can go to larval tier and you can change that, which you guys might not be far enough to be able for me to tell you that.
Got there.
I know about that, yeah.
So yeah, I guess you can do that, but then that ruins my swords because I can't use the things I have because they have to have certain things. So now I have to go grind to do that again. That's where I start to dislike the game. I think the scaling it isn't there, and I'm not even towards the end game, But
yeah. I would say this: these games are designed for you to make a character and role play as that character. They're not designed to be Skyrim where you can be good at everything. And I think that's what I'm seeing some people run into. My friend Sam loves the game. He's like level 150. And he was messaging with me. He's like, I'm kind of frustrated because I feel like I've got good weapons upgraded for all the different play styles, but I have to go use a larval tier to switch my stats back and forth. And he was saying, I think I'm just going to grind up to where I can use all of them at all times. And I just told him, I was like, this is more in the lane of Oblivion where you make a character, you build it a certain way. These games have not really ever been made where you stay in New Game Plus forever. What you do is you finish the game, you go to New Game Plus, you go to New Game Plus 2, and basically that character is a build. And then if you want to do a different build, a fundamentally different thing, you make another character. And so I don't think you're wrong. You're right. The game is not designed to let you be God, as like I'm a level 700 character that does everything perfect. I've never met someone in these Souls games that goes much past level 150 or 160, even in the old ones, maybe level 200 in this one, because at the end of the day, there's like diminishing returns on your stats. So I would just say, if you want to have a character that's a god that does everything, you got to put in the time. Most people are just going to have 2 or 3 different characters if they really want to have different play styles. Like my character is a strength. I'm imbuing a little bit of faith into him, and I might do some dex. That's what that character is going to be. Eventually, one day when I get it on PC or something, I'm going to do a different character that's where I'll do my intelligence and my magic and whatever. I am not going to try to bake that all into one character because these games, they want you to role play as a character. And if that doesn't do it for you, that's a totally valid thing to say that doesn't do it for you. But I don't think that they're asleep at the wheel. I mean, you kind of said that their scaling is off. I mean, it's enabled you to have fun for 160 levels and get to the end game. So
let me argue. Why do they have to go through and do weapon changes? Like, that's the thing. You want to know what's another thing that sucks? I go out and get these weapons that are really awesome and really cool, and then they nerf them week 1. And I just grinded them up and I spent all this time. And I used the word grind because I didn't want to do it, but these weapons are awesome. I have a weapon that shoots a Kamehameha wave. Like, that's cool. And then they go and nerf it. And like, now it sucks. It doesn't do anything. And it's like, why would you do that? You put it in the game originally. Like, why change it? Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, we don't want people to do this. We don't want people to have this. I'm like, dude, buzz off. Like,
that's been a new phenomenon with this game. a little bit, and they nerfed a couple things in the old games like around launch. When I played all the Dark Souls games, they weren't doing updates to what things do or don't do. And that kind of stops. I think that they just do a couple adjustments right when things launch. But like my friend Sam, like he was complaining that some of these things were broken. My opinion is if things are broken, I think it's funny. Like I don't really have a problem with it. But the PvP community felt like there was no value in playing. If
it's hard because
do that.
It's hard because in PvP, I think like traditional PvP, when you look at Dark Souls 1, 3, 2, and 1, and I can't speak on this, I just know what the games are like. They had magic, but magic wasn't the focus point. It was 100% what you had based on your weaponry. So like you would have to like fight people with hack and slash with sprinkled in magic, right?
No, it was the same as this. You could use a lot of magic. You could use a lot of whatever you wanted.
Okay, then I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't know. The magic seems absolutely bonkers to me for a Souls game. It seems absolutely insane.
The magic is always strong, and this just is the same, even crazier.
I think it's even crazier.
Magic is easy mode in these games. When people say these games need easy mode, I've always said use magic and summon people. And this game gives you more options on both of those things than any of the previous games.
Yeah, I don't even love using the magic. Like I have the Moon Veil, which they nerfed it too, which sucked. But I went out and grinded the gun, the sword, because I want all katanas. I'm a samurai, and I just really want the katanas. Because I really like that. What?
Nothing. I'm glad you're having fun with the game. Everything you're doing sounds like the way I would never want to play this game and sounds like a horrible grind. Like,
but see,
like targeting weapons and banging my head against the wall until I get that weapon and I get the stat to the level I can use it. To me, like, I just like playing it naturally.
Why would I want a crappy weapon and go fight bosses who are way better than me without the things that can pwn them? Like, that sounds awful.
I've got a plus 15 brick hammer and a plus 12 battle hammer, and I'm killing every boss I encounter in like 7 hits. And
the way that we play is a nightmare to Jacob, and the way Jacob's playing is a nightmare
everything you're describing to me is like, no wonder you're not having fun. Sounds like hell on earth. Sounds like a bad idea, but it sounds like you're liking it though. I don't know. I think you like it. I don't know.
But I think you like it. You think you like it. You've stuck with it. So the way you're playing works
I think I'm playing it because other people are playing it and I'm playing it with them. My other argument would be that there's no other games out right now, and this is the only game that's actually moderately okay. So I kind of
okay. I'd like to talk about the things I like about this game sometime.
Could have played Kirby.
I think why would I play Kirby? What am I? No, I mean, I don't know. I think there are good parts about the game. I think I enjoy it. I think it looks amazing. I think for a From Software game, I think it runs great. I know like I played Bloodborne recently and I got like halfway through that game and I was like, this thing's a turd. And apparently like some other games are like that, but not all of them are. But this one's amazing. Like it runs smooth.
On PS5 pretty smooth. I think PC people, depending on what they're running, have had issues. But
I have a theory on that. I think PC people are a little bit snobby. Like if it's not 1440, like 140 frames, 2K, 4K perfect, they kind of whine. Like,
dude, I could imagine running this game like that. Like this game is massive.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And I feel like it always has things ready, like and rendered. And I feel like even when you get in the open world, like Lingrave, I can see so far away, and that's just like I know for a fact that that's there. Like that is there. It's not going to load as I get closer. I'm sure some of it does, but you know what I mean. Like that's where I think like this game.
Looking out the distance and stuff it's absolutely gorgeous, and seeing castles and stuff, and the giant gold trees, just that lighting on that world. It just looks like unlike anything you'll see in any other game. I will say, we've joked about this when we play on our hangouts and stuff, is like fighting an enemy or being in certain areas. I feel like I'm in a PS3 game 1 second, and then I'll step out and see the best graphics I've ever seen with those golden trees and everything else. But so it's like a weird mix, and the design works, and I am like, overall, it looks amazing. It all melts together and works, but like it is funny. It's like some of this looks like a PS3 game, and then you'll step out and see the best thing you'll ever see. But
yeah, something I've really enjoyed about it is there's been all these little moments that are really great kind of callbacks to older games. I just found one last night. I was in like this like village that was like like falling apart and everybody was freaking out, and it was like a lot like Bloodborne. And then I kind of like turned the corner and I went up this hill, and this thing jumps out at me with these two big blades, and it starts trying to hit me, and these two dogs are coming at me, and there's like a place I can go stand, and it was the Capra demon from Dark Souls.
Oh,
it wasn't called that. It was the Omen Killer is what it was called, but it had the same moves.
In a village? I just did that.
It had the same moves as the Capra demon, and it had two dogs. And it made me think back to like 7 years ago when I was playing Dark Souls, and I was so mad. I was screaming because I couldn't beat the Capra demon, and I was stuck on Dark Souls on that boss. And I was going online, and I was like, this game is broken. I hate this game. And now like I'm in this open world game, and he's popped back up with these two dogs, and I'm like, I kill him on the first try. He almost gets me, and it was just this crazy like callback that was really fun. And this game feels like they really took all the lessons they learned from all their games that they made over the last 13, 14 years and kind of put, like you said, Zach, kind of learned from all the lessons and put together something really special. I also am really glad that this is not Dark Souls 4. I know when this was coming up, a lot of people made the joke, like, just looks like an open world Dark Souls game. But like, I feel like Dark Souls is getting kind of stale. Dark Souls 3 to me felt very stale. It was good, and it functionally played well, and it looked good, but it was
the best playing up to that point feeling of a Dark Souls game. But it didn't have the
imagination.
I don't know if it was because we'd played so many of them already.
It wasn't that. It was the imagination wasn't there. It's like, there's on Orlando again. There's this again. Here's another guy. It just didn't. It was stale, and I was watching a video about the DLC for Dark Souls 3 called Ashes of Ariandel. The story in that DLC was kind of about this painter that's painting these worlds. And actually, you go into one of his worlds in Dark Souls 1 in the painted world, but he's painting these worlds, and basically it boils down to like he wants to burn all the paintings and start over, and there are these people that like love his paintings that don't want him to do that, and they're like, don't do that, and he's like, we can't make anything great again unless like I burn all of this down. And that was the last DLC for Dark Souls 3. And a lot of people looking back are like, because he even says, we're going to bring the best parts to the next world. Like, a lot of people look at it in retrospect and like he was saying, I have to leave Dark Souls behind so we can go forward and do something new. And I'm to the point now, I know a lot of people want like a Bloodborne 2. Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, all of those games rock. Dark Souls 2, I like it a lot, but I see why it's divisive. Dark Souls 3, I don't really care for it much, but I see why people like it a lot. Whatever. My two least favorite games probably out of all of those are sequels. I really don't need an Elden Ring 2. I don't need a Bloodborne 2. I want them to just keep making new stuff. I love that that's his approach. Because if you think about it, after Demon Souls, Miyazaki made Dark Souls 1. After Dark Souls 1, he had no interest in making a Dark Souls 2. He went and made Bloodborne. Right? Yeah. Some other team made Dark Souls 2, and then people started saying, well, where's the third one? So he came back and did a thing that I think is his worst game, and it was like we're done for real now. And then he went and made Sekiro, and then he went and made Elden Ring. Like, the worst thing I think that could happen right now is asking that guy to go make a sequel to any of the games that have come before. He needs to just keep making new stuff, because every time he does, it's awesome.
I would like a Blue Point game like Bloodborne revision just because of the performance stuff. Like, I don't think we need a new game, but it's funny. I feel like the series in similar ways that I do Metal Gear, like when I mentioned Metal Gear Solid 5, that's what Elden Ring is to these other games. They perfected the gameplay. It's perfect. Also, I feel this way because when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, I was like, we're done. Perfect. And then they announced Metal Gear Solid 5, and I felt as a lifelong fan with Metal Gear, I was like, I don't know if we need Metal Gear 5. And then we got it when I'm glad we have that. Like, I'm really glad. I feel the same with Elden Ring. When I was like watching gameplay videos before this came out, like I put in our group chat, I was like, I mean, I'll play with you guys, but I'm not really down for that. Like, I am Elden Ringed out, or I'm Soulsed out, I mean. But playing it, I'm like, oh, like this is the Metal Gear Solid 5 moment of like, I'm glad we have it. Now I hope that he like puts it away for a while and let's do Armored Core. I'm dying for it keeps getting rumored, but like move on to like a sci-fi, like a totally different thing. Like, Like I think you perfected it with this, and you can play it. Like Jacob's jumping on, everybody's jumping on, like playing their different ways. They're having fun. Let's get off the stage before we're asked to get off the stage. Is how I feel like. I think we're doing great now, like with Elden Ring. But
yeah.
So Elden Ring.
It's a good game. I like it a lot.
I'm sure there'll be more to be discussed as you guys get farther and I get farther in the game too.
Jacob, if you're getting one-shotted a lot, I was just going to say, look at how much points you've put into your health. Maybe put a little bit more in.
I mean, I'll look into that. Again, it's just that idea that like, okay, well, I guess I have to go do this because I'm not going to change the way I'm built. I'll tell you that right now.
I don't think you need to. What's your vigor at?
28, I think. But that's where I also have the talismans. So I have 4 talisman slots. And there are some really good talismans. Like if you guys haven't looked up online how to get some really good talismans, there are some really good talismans. And 2 of them that I have, one is every time I defeat an enemy, I get more health, and I have an extended health and stamina and FP as well, and extends it by like 50 points. The other one I have is a strength, what gives you +5 in strength, and the other one I have gives you more carry load. So I have some really good talismans, and I have a sword I supplement in. I just got that every time I kill an enemy, it gives me more health as well. But when you go into the boss battles, that's where it's like, oh my gosh, like it took forever for me to grind against this one boss the other night. And it was just annoying because I was like, the things it does is so readable, but if it gets a hold of you, it just kills you instantly. So that's where I'm like, I get mad at myself because I'm like, well, I just suck at the game. That's why I can't beat it. But on top of that, I'm like, why does it get to kill you in one shot? Like that's why I go back to that idea. Like, why does it do that? Like, why is it instantly like? And you can go somewhere else. But I feel like a lot of the bosses, they have a move that's that powerful, which is good, and they should be. It's like it's telegraphical. Like when you fight the Lionel in the beginning. I don't know if you guys have killed that thing yet or not. Its moves are very predictable, and it's a very big thing, but its power is insane. It's insanely powerful, and that's just crazy.
I feel like what's happening is a little bit of culture shock of like, because I've played all these games, like I expect every boss to have an AoE or something that can just screw you up. So like I play with that in the back of my head. So if they do like a swipe to grab me or they start like charging up, I book ass out of there because I just know I've done this enough. So I've learned those lessons. So I'm not demeaning the way you play, Jacob, but like it's so weird to me that so many people that are newer to these games have beat me to the end game. Like Sam's in the end game, you're in the end game. Sam beat it. Like, so that I'm hearing some of these thoughts, and I need to see it for myself before I can weigh in on my opinion. But your opinion's valid. It doesn't make your opinion not valid. To me, like the end game bosses of these games, they always have one shot kill like moves. But the grind isn't doing it till you get lucky. The grind, if you want to call it that, is doing it until you thoroughly understand all of their moves and you can do it perfect, or do it mostly perfect and avoid perfectly that one move. So I bet if you had closer to 40 vigor, you'd be fine.
It kind of turns back. I gotta shout out the witness again. You're gaining knowledge on the boss. So like when you go to a boss and like you lose, and it is frustrating when you're like, I just got one-shotted, because I've had that even before the end boss. I've had that happen. It is like the witness, because it's like I need to fight this like 5 or 6 times, and I'm like gaining knowledge levels and experience. So that when I see that, oh, I know what this means. I need to be over here. Boom, this needs to happen, or whatever. And some of it is luck too. Like some of it is the enemy like did this move like 3 times. It's like I got stuck and the camera got weird.
But I just want to say, and I will go to my deathbed saying this: these games are fair, including Elden Ring. I just watched one of my favorite streamers that streams Souls games. He just beat Elden Ring Soul Level 1. Wretch Soul Level 1 with the starting club. He beat the final boss. I just watched, like, I saw it came up the other day. I didn't watch it because I don't want to know what the final boss is. So like, and he's not like magically doing this or cheating. He rolls through all the attacks. He exploits. He staggers. I mean, are you jumping and hitting down to stagger with the R2? Are you making the boss stagger? That's another thing. These are all things you learn when you play like the way I'm playing that maybe you don't learn. I don't know. No, stagger damage is huge in this game.
I use a giant club. I hit them until they fall down. And then,
but are you using R1 to hit them?
I use R1, R2, L2, square, triangle.
So do you ever, when you're fighting a boss, find that they fall down and you could do a critical, like random?
Yeah, it happened the other night.
So that is a mechanic. So the way that you do that is R2, jump R2, and I want to say Ashes of War attacks. Those three specifically. When you hit them with those things, it does posture damage to them. And then when you do that posture damage, slowly the posture damage will fade away. If you do enough posture damage things to them before it all fades away and it hits like a blood loss thing, they will stagger and you can do a crit.
I haven't seen. Is that a bar that shows up?
No, I haven't seen that bar.
It's like a hidden. It's just a hidden mechanic. It's like the Sekiro bar, but you can't see it. So I don't use R1 very much at all against bosses. I use R2. I use jump R2. I think jump R1 does a little bit of stagger, and then I do Ashes of War, or I'll do my dual wielding attack. But
interesting.
But when I went back through the tutorial with my sister, because she was playing the other day, it popped up and it explained that. I just was used to all these things, so I ignored that. I ignored that, and I ignored guard counter. Guard counter is extremely strong also in this game. So do stagger damage, and it probably... But
that probably work.
Yeah.
I just don't do it.
Yeah.
I just don't. I have a specific way I want to play, and that's blood damage. All I want to do is blood damage, because I can do up to 3,000 in one shot, because I will unleash 4 blood fly spells. I'll run up with my rivers of blood, do 2 hits, boom, 4,000 damage. All right, thing should be beat. It should be done now. But then sometimes it doesn't work, so I keep doing that until it works.
So you take the glass cannon approach. You're going to do your attack kind of algorithm. These are the 6 things I do, and if you get killed, you just... it's that's a great thing. There's different ways to play. Sounds like you just want to go do your attack, try and beat them in 2 cycles, kind of a thing.
Well, that's how I want to play the game. I don't want to sit here and fight the same boss. I will say my favorite part about the game, what I did hate about Dark Souls, is if you lost to a boss, you had to go through the entire freaking level to go back to the boss. Elden Ring, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And man, I will tell you right now, that right there makes the game.
It's a huge difference. From
a 2 to a 10. Like that's the game changing mechanic that like makes this game playable.
Yeah. That was my biggest, every single game I played. Man, wish that checkpoint was closed. Man, I wish the checkpoint closer. So they fixed that. Thank you.
Yeah. And
one last thing I wanted to say about Elden Ring was I feel the same what I did with Breath of the Wild, which is I'm like cherishing this game, because it's like, they spent so much time designing this and designing these little secrets, and you get to read messages, and I feel like a little again, and I'm exploring and like looking at stuff and trying to find stuff, and I'm playing it like I did back. I'm making my head go back to elementary school, and I didn't have all these internet YouTube videos to get all the tips or whatever. I'm literally asking you guys, like, did you go to over here? Okay, yeah, you did. How do you beat that? I'll help you. Summon me in your world, and I'm doing that, or I'm asking you, or like, have you guys seen this land of X, Y, or Z? No, I have not. Where's that at? Oh, I just saw this. I didn't see that. Like, I'm doing it the same with Breath of the Wild, and that, because I'm just a surprise guy. I love surprises and stuff. So these are like a smorgasbord is what this whole game is for me. Discovery and treating it like a game that I don't have the internet access to. And I'm just like, what is that over there? And
I even write down, I have a little note in my phone, and if I talk to somebody and they mention something and I'm not sure if I'll remember it, I'll write it down. Like, this guy told me to go over to the woods and, do this.
Yeah.
So and then if I get to a point where I don't know what I want to do next, I look at that note and say, oh, I could go do that now. So to me, Breath of the Wild really is the comparison point. That felt like such a unique game, and it was. And then this feels like it's in that spirit of that same type of style of world. So now we got 2 of them. Like, I just feel like for every 2 of these, we get 100 of the Assassin's Creed style world.
Yes, it's games that really respect the player, because they give you almost next to nothing. And they just tell you to go out, and you really, some of those mechanics you were talking about, I didn't know about. I didn't know, like, I didn't read that message, or I missed that or something. Like, this stuff is hidden, which is fun, because that is like adventure in real life too. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. And you kind of have to play around and fickle with things in real life to figure them out. So that's cool. And then the second part is just kind of exploring and finding nooks and crannies and stuff, and making your own story, like writing stuff down, like you said, like, what is that over there? And Yeah, just exciting.
I do really like the teleporters too, like you mentioned, because you just don't know what is going to happen.
That is a really fun mechanic. That was really cool. Like you'll hit that and you're in a world you don't have a map to. You're on the other side of the map and it's like hell, fire and brimstone, giant things. You're like, where am I at? Like, what do I do to like get out of this? But
yeah, I would say the only other thing, and this goes back to like my mild comment of it's just. And I will say Margit was kicking my butt. So I think I'm far enough removed from that now that it doesn't feel like this game started out harder for me on the boss side of things than maybe I'm remembering now. But another thing is there are a lot of points of grace. There are a whole lot of points of grace.8almost to the point of like I feel like I'm tripping over them, like I'm finding them constantly. But yeah, but it's not a bad thing. It's just very different than in Dark Souls 1, you'd find a bonfire in an area and like that was your only bonfire and you were opening these shortcuts and always going back to that one. Definitely an apples and oranges type thing. So it's just it's very different. Very different.
Yeah. But really loving it. I feel like these games are hard to come by because they have to take years and years and years and years. Like, they're really uniquely crafted, and that is not an Assassin's Creed yearly release or Call of Duty yearly release. They take ungodly amounts of time, and I bet the credits are going to go on for like 4 years. Because like, how do you have to have so many people working on this?
Well,
that's why you don't get a lot of them. Like that's why it's
part of it is I don't know that I need more than one of these every few years. Like,
and they can't feasibly be made because so much heart and soul has to be put into them. Like, like not say that like yearly releases don't, but a lot of manpower and energy has to be soaked into this to make something this massive and cool and stuff. But
right. That's Elden Ring.
But Elden Ring, talked about it. It's fun.
Okay. So Jacob, you playing WWE?
I have been playing WWE. 2K22 came out after 2K took a year off from making WWE games, mainly because the community has just absolutely hated them. So they wanted to take a year off to try to figure out a better formula for the games. Because I'm the type of person, I like WWE. I've always liked WWE. It's a fun thing for me to follow. I wouldn't say I'm not like the nut job about it. I'm not going to sit there and go to all the shows all the time and stuff like that. I'm not going to watch every week, but I'll watch the major pay-per-views and stuff like that. So WrestleMania is this week.
Is this the first time they've like skipped a year, like Call of Duty?
First time they've skipped a year, yes. And
those games were in a bad spot, weren't they?
Yeah. So everyone was making jokes because when you go back and you can find meme jokes of 2K20 where people are getting flown out of the arena and like they get suplexed and they just start floating into the air. The game was just in an absolute mess, and it was the physics engine and things didn't look good. Like it wasn't clicking. It wasn't WWE. So what they kind of did was they refined the mechanics and made it into a better wrestling experience. And one of the things people have loved with these games has been going online and wrestling other people. But what happened was they made it to where you only had a limited number of reversals. So you could only reverse people like 4 times. So people would save them because in those type of games, you have to deal damage. And the best way to do damage is doing a special move and all this crap. So now they changed it to it's all skill based. So it's all like timing skill based and how you do it, which is a lot better now because you have an unlimited number of anything. It can go any way now. So the game's just in a better spot. I really like it. I love the community. The community creations because they get to make things and they upload them. So like I went on there and I uploaded and I fought with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I did a steel cage match with Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It was hilarious.
I saw somebody made Kirby. I think somebody made Kirby. So it's an all pink man body. And then they just made like a blob over the face with the eyes and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the game is absolutely hysterical because you can do pretty much anything you want, and you can wrestle with anyone. It's such a good creation tool, and it's just really it's a good time passer for me. It's like I can casually go out there and play the game and just kind of like zone out for a few and then come back and do whatever. So I like it.
So this one's good.
It's a breath of fresh air. I will say this. I think developers should take a year off more often because sometimes like I think of Madden. I think of NBA 2K. I think of all these other sports games who they churn out a game every year, and it's a glorified roster update. It's anything past in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets frustrating. Where I think what I'm glad that 2K did was 2K was like, hey, this is WWE. They'll live if we take a year off. And you're right, we live. Like no one was like dying, and now they made a way better product that's way more enjoyable. So, dude, in my opinion, people should take a year off more often.
Yeah.
Like, but
maybe that'll be the new trend this year. Less games, but better games.
Real quick before we switch, you know what will be taking many years off? FIFA.
What?
Because
is it
EA will no longer have the rights to the name FIFA, so their soccer game will be called EA Sports FC. And then the rumor is the FIFA organization wants to make their own game that will be now called FIFA. So,
it's gonna be weird for them because like they already had competition through Konami and their free game. Konami has no rights. They only have rights to, I think, a few soccer clubs because each soccer club has it's so wild, but each soccer club has a right to sell their team's image and likeness and players' likenesses to a game. So EA did a good job going out and just throwing money at every single soccer club. But you had a few of them that wouldn't do it. And the one that was noticeable was Juventus. Juventus, who at the time had Ronaldo on the team, they wouldn't give their likeness to use to FIFA. So they made up some random Royal Cologne team, and that was Juventus. Everyone knew that was Juventus. It just wasn't named Juventus. And so, but then this other team that's like a free game, it's some nobody game made by Konami called Pro Evolution Soccer, had Juventus on it. So it was so weird. Soccer is a weird sport to do video games for.
Pro Evolution Soccer is really funny. It's got a lot of fans,
it's a good simulation game.
It's more of a sim game than like a pick up and play with your friends type of thing. But it's the only other game that used the Fox engine after MGS5. So all of the players look like MGS5 people, like you would knock out and Fulton out. And every time I see that game, I just think about MGS5, and it makes me want to go play MGS5.
If you want to understand Metal Gear Solid 5, you have to play Pro Evolution Soccer.
It's just it's fun. I think they also they rebranded. They made a soccer manager where it's like I don't know. I think Sega started making this where you manage a soccer club like head coach.
It's like football manager. Yeah.
Yeah. But you could also watch the games play out in simulation too.
If they made that for football, I would play that.
They had head coach.
They had head coach back in the day.
But head coach, I will tell you right now, was a glorified Madden. Like you just sat on the sidelines and watched it as a head coach.
It wasn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an expansion of what ESPN 2K5 did. You could set the player's workout schedule. You could have like your receivers work on yoga. It was so good. It was so good.
You guys are talking about shenanigans. We didn't have this wrote down to talk about, but a game I was really looking forward to with the new generation, checking on my PS5, Gran Turismo 7 came out. And I was like, I'm going to wait on the sale or whatever, pick it up. I'm glad I waited.
This close to buying it. I was this close to buying it.
I was going to buy it. I was like, I'm going to wait on a sale. And then something came out. So all the reviewers got it and they rated it pretty good. They said it was a really fun game. Cool. And then after the game actually came out, so the reviewers had already played it and gave their scores, they said that the in-game credits is, how you buy stuff in the game. It's the money of the game. That those were going to dynamically change the price of the certain vehicles in the game were going to dynamically change depending on the market. It was going to be like a stock market within the game. And the credits that you got, the payouts, changed after they added microtransactions to buy the credits. So they single-handedly made it a free-to-play game, is what they did. But they forced you to buy the microtransactions to afford the stuff in the game. So people are coming out like, I think it's the worst rated game on Metacritic right now, or the worst Sony-produced game on Metacritic now. It's getting lambasted. Like there's articles and stuff coming out about it. So I tweeted about it and said this sucks. I always do that when stuff really is bad. I'll say this sucks. This really sucks. Will you make it not suck? And I'll just keep tweeting at the people. That's the only time I'll get toxic because it's like when stuff is that bad, it's like we just have to talk about it and call it what it is.
Sony got
it sucks and it's bad and it sucks. So that really sucks and it's bad. There's no way around it. I really wanted to play it. I was really looking forward to it. But
the user score is at a 1.7.
Yeah,
there's such broken trust to change how the currencies work after reviews.
So dirty. I think like there needs to be I don't know. You can't update the score. There needs to be a way. I think OpenCritic lets you update the score, but Metacritic, whatever the score you submit or whatever it is from these different outlets, that sticks. But OpenCritic lets you dynamically. So some of those scores may be updated and you'll see it on OpenCritic, but not on Metacritic. But which needs to be changed. It needs to be changed because like it sucks that they get the score and then they rug pull you and they give you a different game and it's like that's not what they reviewed. So I'm going to continue to wait months for some of these games.
Gran Turismo yesterday released an article. The developers of Gran Turismo, Sony, they released an article on PlayStation.
We're so sorry.
Basically saying like, hey, your voices have not gone unheard, but we'd like to apologize for the frustration. But also understand that our adjustments to the in-game economy, which was not made clear to you guys. So we're going to continue with what we're doing, but we're just going to give you all 1 million credits. So everyone who owns the game are getting 1 million credits now. And then they're changing how much you get after each race. Okay,
I'll wait to see what people to say about that.
Whenever they say your voices are heard, you know something bad happened.
When our voices are heard, that means we got caught doing the thing that we thought we could get away with. But
Sony makes me so freaking nervous right now. A lot of people feel like this was a testing ground for what they could get away with. If they start adding these types of monetizations to their more single player games.
Yeah. Just buy, aren't they part of Sony? They're part of Sony's studio. Just don't do the microtransactions.
They want to make more money, Zach.
Yeah, they're first party. They're first party. Yeah. This is not like
this isn't like them trying to like keep their head afloat. Like figure it out. I don't know.
More money means good
things.
Did
you see that GTA announced a new subscription on top of their online called GTA
Premium.
Plus or something? But it's $6 a month on top of what you're probably paying for Xbox.
Here's my philosophy on this. This is very simple. If the game is free, do whatever you want with microtransactions. If I have to pay to buy the game, you need to be really clear about what the microtransactions are, and they gotta be cosmetic only. They can't be time saving. They can't be like to eliminate grind. Like Shadow of War, that Lord of the Rings game, that was one of the first ones I remember a few years ago, and the big controversy was they made the story missions like you would finish a story mission at like level 40 and the next story mission would be like, you gotta be level 48 and there's nothing else to work on except for like little bounties that give you like a little bit of XP. It would take you 10 hours of grinding to get to 48, or you could pay a microtransaction boost and get, so the game's $60-$70, but then you got to buy these boosts to get through the story. It's a $200 game.
That pay to play stuff, because it's like that sucks. It's like
in a paid game.
In a paid game is even worse.
If Gran Turismo 7 was free to play on the PlayStation, but it had all this stuff, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I'd play it.
But when you pay, it's like when I have to pay, like I could grind, but it's like I'm grinding for 10 hours. You are hurting me into the pay barn.
I'm paying to enter your shop. You're paying to enter the shop.
Yeah, I have to pay to actually have any fun in this game, which is that's when like stuff with Gran Turismo like burnt me so bad. I felt finally like an old man, because I was like, yeah, these vintage games, these retro games, that's where it's at, because like that was before things got fricked up and we had to keep making all these microtransactions. So, like, but I know there's still good games. I was venting, but because I was like going back and forth, I was like, well, Elden Ring is one of the best games I ever played. But then you also get collectively this crap where it's like, well, I want to run back and play Gran Turismo 3. Like, let's just play that for a little bit and check that out. And, you know, but it burns you.
Absolutely. Well, last game I played, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I'm on the final boss, I think, of this game. The game's awesome. It's very fun. I think my biggest thing I talked about last time with this was that I had all these coins. I didn't know what to do with them. I think you're right, Zach. It's kind of an Elden Ring situation where you can use those coins to buy these different power-ups, or you can ignore them and just buy lives. So I've actually whittled down to where I have very few coins left, and I'm fighting this boss. So I'm hoping maybe today or tomorrow I'll finish it, so I don't have to go grind for coins. But very good platformer. I got it for Christmas. Yeah. That's the way I wanted to play this game. I wanted somebody to give it to me for Christmas or something, play through it, have fun, about 10 hours, 12 hours, not very long. It's got collectibles in it if you want to do all that, but I'll move on to something else. But I like it a lot. I like the music. The music's a real highlight in that game.
The music is a highlight. It made me stop when I was playing because I was like, I want to actually hear this through before I get to the end of the level because it's an amazing soundtrack. So one of the few games that ever made me do that. So
very good music, and I like that. I like that type of platformer. If they make another Donkey Kong platformer, I'll be in for that. I don't know that. I've played a little bit of the first Donkey Kong Country on an emulator. I feel like this is kind of like the Halo 3 to that. Like, I don't feel like I now feel the need to go back and play some of those. I'm sure they're cool and they've got cool music.
I would say go check those out.
So you would say they're still worth it.
I would say those first two are good. That third one does some wacko jacko stuff. It's still fun, but I think those first two are incredible platformers that kind of complement this one.
Okay, maybe because this has definitely sold me on now that I have a feel for what the scope of these types of games are, and
same composer, and it's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time is in those first two. So
maybe I should. I played a little bit of the first one and I got stuck because that was a very hard game too.
Yeah, so you save states now, you got all that, but I beat it without save states. I'm a real gamer.
Is this like technically like the fourth one? Is this like a continuation of that?
No, there was one before this one called Donkey Kong Country Returns. And then this one is Tropical Freeze, which was kind of a sequel to the Returns one.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
But,
and if I'm not mistaken, it's Retro Studios that made that, isn't it? The people that make Metroid Prime, right?
Yes. I know Country Returns was. I'm trying to think of Tropical Freeze was. I think they were. Yeah, I think they were. Yep, anyway, I think it was. Yeah, it was them. But
anyway, it's a very good game. Big fan of it. So good. I think that gets us through games. We got some news.
They showed Master Chief's face in the Halo TV show. First episode.
Yeah,
did you watch it?
I just saw somebody on TikTok show video and talk about it, and I was cracking up. It made me laugh.
Well, it's funny they didn't even make it one episode. That's the funny part.
Yeah, they didn't even wait for the finale. That's how they premiered it. It cracked me.
I was reading though. A lot of people were saying like the people who are complaining about this obviously have not read any of the books or any other material because apparently like Master Chief takes his helmet off all the time in the books and stuff.
But I can't see it in a book. I can't see the face in a book. He can take it off all he wants in a book. It's invisible.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think people just need to get over themselves.
Here's my opinion on the Halo show. I don't think I really feel like watching it. I don't have really any interest. But I will say, I think some of the people that are complaining that it's not lore, or it's not canon, or it's not with the rest of the Halo lore, shut the hell up, right? Just let it be what it's going to be. Like, I think that's a good idea to not make it have to follow the exact story of whatever. Yeah. I think that's cool. Go do your own thing. I'm sure it'll be fine. And some people like it, some people won't. But I just don't. To me, I don't play Halo for the characters. I play it for the gameplay. So if you make a show about those characters, I would just be, I feel like I'd just be kind of feeling like I'd rather be playing Halo. But I also feel like Master Chief is a level of iconic that he could be like Batman. He could be like whatever else. Different people can play him. You can take different takes on it. Go for it. Like, who cares? Like, I think it's fine. But
But something about taking the helmet off in the first episode was cracking me up.
In the first episode is funny to me because
at the final, it's like, okay, like I still think it's goofy. I think that him not taking off the helmet was always to me, you're that character, or you could always in the games.
Yeah.
You could align yourself as like, I am Master Chief. And I thought that was a cool thing. And it's like, I don't need the helmet to take off because I like the mystery. But I know people are different. But like the first episode is where I'm like,
in a weird way, it's such a bold choice that I'm like, it makes me kind of want to maybe watch the first
maybe it's a clean slate. And they're like, no, this is who this guy is.
They're like, look, we are not doing the other thing. Here's his face right now.
It's a different take, but it still, regardless, made me laugh. But cool.
Yeah.
Good luck with that show.
Well, speaking of people showing their face and whatever, I have not seen the new Batman movie, and I want to see it, but I got COVID right when it came out. But are any of you guys going to watch that? Have you seen it?
I want to see it.
I don't think I'm going to watch it, but he might.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the bad guy in that movie is the Riddler, which is fine. So the Joker is not in that movie, but a deleted scene was just released this weekend of the Joker.
I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched a little bit of it, and I haven't seen the movie, so it's weird seeing a deleted scene from a movie I haven't seen, but he's just like a guy like with weird teeth like behind the glass. And I just am like, there are so many Jokers now. This will be the most forgettable Joker of maybe any of them at this point, of like, they throw so many different versions. It looked like a different take on it, but the Joker to me is just like this. It's so funny to me that we get so many versions of him now. Because then I'm thinking about, we just watched I'm gonna effing kill you when he says that at the end of Justice League. Yeah. I don't know. I thought for some reason this Batman might be in the same world as the Joker movie we just saw, but I guess it's not. It's just another different Joker. But maybe it's for the best it was a deleted scene.
Yeah. One little last game nugget. There was a lot this month. Witcher. We're bringing back Witcher. They're doing more Witcher games.
Yeah.
Said it's a new saga. So I think we talked about when Cyberpunk was like, oh, I hope Witcher comes back in like 10 years. But here it comes a couple months after we said that. Well, I think it's a little too soon. Like, I want to just let The Witcher just sit. But I know the TV show is...
Well, but here's what I would say, Zach.
And they're doing good with that, so maybe they want to capture that. What?
The Witcher 3 came out in 2015. They're just now announcing logo-wise The Witcher 4. So that maybe it's like coming out for 2 or 3 years. It'll be 10 years when it comes out.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
So
maybe they did that for the shareholders. We're working on a Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they also said it will be Unreal Engine 5, which is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe they learned their lesson on that one.
They said no more of our own engine. We figured that out.
I'm in for whatever they make next. I know Cyberpunk turned into a big... I never actually beat it, but I got what I wanted out of Cyberpunk. I had a lot of fun with that game, and I don't trust them in a technical sense, but I trust that they'll make something interesting and worth my time. So I'll play it.
Always, yeah. I turned on the boob tube, as they say, and I watched a little show. Well, me and my wife sat down and watched the entirety of it. Or no, actually, it took two nights because it was pretty long. It's the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix. And it's a documentary about Andy Warhol, the famous American... or no, was he American? I think his parents came from like Germany or something. But I should have known. I watched 8 million hours of this. But it's like a 6 or 7 part like episodic like documentary. It's very long, very in depth on his life and his works that he's done. But very interesting. I mean, we kept watching it like episode after episode to see what was happening in his life. But if you don't know who Andy Warhol is, his most famous thing that he did and he was known for was the Campbell soup cans, if you know that. And he just kind of like copy pasted all these Campbell soup cans and did that. He also did the Marilyn Monroe kind of portraits of her as well. But very good documentary. Interesting way that he like looked at art and like did art in like I think it was like the 60s. He basically got this warehouse and just called random people in to like do art. So there was like all these like porn stars that would come in, and the next day would be this like these like artists from the college campuses would come in. It just was a weird, like these crazy, just artistic people coming in and making like very cool art and very cool like things. But all that stopped, and you get to see this in the thing. He called in all these random people he didn't know into the factory, to the point where this like mentally insane woman came in and shot him, and didn't kill him, but nearly killed him. So they put the end to the factory, and like he's just created this whole other thing.
Oh my gosh.
But very interesting just to see how his life went. He was gay, but back then it just was still, of course, like kind of frowned upon in the world at that time. So like people would ask him in interviews, like, "Oh, you're gay and stuff. You have a boyfriend?" And he's like, "I'm sexual." So he just kept saying he was asexual, but everybody was like, "No, he had like boyfriends and he had all this stuff," but like he had to like lie about it.
Yeah.
But he was really funny about like questions people would ask him. Like they would say, "Oh, your critics say that you're not doing, this good, or that wasn't a good piece that you did. What do you think about that?" And he would go, "I can't say anything. They're right." That's how he would always respond, is this deadpan, like, "I can't. They're just right." So he would handle the media very well. He's really funny. It was also interesting. He had a show, I didn't even know about this, on MTV called the Andy Warhol Show, or TV series. I don't know what it's called, the exact name of it, but like all of this stuff was kind of like how reality TV started. Like he had a pulse on like stuff that like we see now, and everybody getting their 15 minutes of fame and not Elden Ring, Instagram and like Facebook and all this stuff. But like all this stuff, people were like saying it's like he would love all this stuff because that's like what he was into, fame and all this stuff and whatever else. But yeah, I loved his art and like what it, like you could really read into all this stuff, and it was really cool. So I recommend the Andy Warhol documentary, or Diaries. Sorry. Oh, and also I should say, like, the name of it, the Diaries. He never gave interviews and did all this stuff, but he kept a diary that he called this woman his assistant or whatever, and she would write down like his thoughts. And then after his death, this book released in like the late 80s and stuff. Like the book came out and it was like all these thoughts. It was stuff in there. It was like, I'm hanging out with these people, these old hags again. Like it was just all like, it just kind of blew open like what he thought about different things and
that's awesome.
Relationships and stuff. And it was really interesting. So Andy Warhol Diaries.
I need to check that out. That sounds really cool.
But only other thing I watched was Belfast. Watched that last night.
What is that?
It's about the Protestant and Catholics, like the Protestants attacking the Catholics in Ireland back in the 60s.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know too much about it. I thought it was, and they don't even actually go into it in the movie. They just show this neighborhood getting like bombed and or people coming in, like running in, and just a riot like kind of in this neighborhood, and people throwing Molotov cocktails and stuff. But I think it's about like the government was siding with certain things, like the Catholics or the Protestants. I cannot remember this. And that made the other side, like the Protestants, mad, or whatever, the Catholics mad, and they attacked. So I'm doing a terrible retelling of what is happening because this is rough, like Wikipedia reading a couple years ago. But
that stuff's always interesting to me because, like, yeah, especially in Europe, some of the divide between some of the religious sects of Christianity go to violence, like genuine terrorism, like occurs.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people like think of terrorism as something that only happens in other religions and other places if you live in the West or in America or whatever. But like, there's a lot. It's kind of just something that happens, like when you get too stuck in your fundamental ways of what you think. So that's interesting. Maybe I'll check that out. Sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You said the movie focuses more on the action and less maybe on the philosophy.
The acting between the characters. So it's like, I should have said, like, it kind of focuses on more this family, this little boy. He's on the cover art and stuff of the movie, but this little boy and his family, his brother, and like his mom and dad is what it's primarily focused on. And like the dad wants to leave because things are getting so violent. The mom wants to stay, says, this is our homeland, this is our play, we should stay here. And it's great. That little boy is an amazing actor. He's really funny. He's really just genuine. Like, has amazing like acting moments. Like, whoa, this is a little kid. It's like really good. But that's really cool. The cinematography is amazing. It looks awesome. It's all black and white. The film is. But I don't know if it's a spoiler or not. They let yellow come through. I don't know what that is artistically, but they let the color yellow come in different scenes. Like they're watching a play. And there's glasses on like the Grand Mall is in the movie, and you can see the yellow that she's like seeing off the lights in front of her from this play that they're
And
watching.
it's black and white.
Yes.
It could represent
The whole movie
light.
is black and white.
It could represent
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just interesting when a black and white movie lets that in. Like Schindler's List does that with the the color red sometimes or whatever. But
Yeah.
interesting movie. But the cinematographer's like, wow, this is really, really cool the way they did it. Interesting. But
That sounds
Belfast.
Cool.
I went through and finally watched all the Harry Potter movies over the course of 5 days.
Oh wow.
I never have seen Harry Potter. I've always seen bits and pieces. It was always on TV every now and then, and I'd be like, "That's really weird. I'm good. I'm a hard pass," and I'll just turn away and watch it. I always remember watching the Quidditch. There was a episode, I think, in the Chamber of Secret? No, I think it was in the first
Are they
one.
play Quidditch in all of them?
Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah,
he
Chamber of
plays
Secrets.
Quidditch,
Yeah,
and the first
he
one.
plays-
they
The first
play
one
Quidditch.
definitely. Yeah.
Sorcerer's Stones, I think, is where he played the first one, because I remember he got the broom and he started flying in the air to go grab the ball that was thrown, and he grabbed it out from Malfoy threw it. I've always seen like bits and pieces of Harry Potter, and I knew like the premise of it, but I've never seen it all the way lived out. And it was good. I think as the movies progressed, the style and the charm that they had originally disappeared. Which is where it kind of like becomes disappointing, because I remember watching like the first two and I was like, oh, this is so cute and this is funny and this is quirky. It's this magical world and these kids are in school. And then it became dead serious. Like Goblet of Fire hits and I'm like, holy crap, these kids are in a war. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know what the people say. The books don't really the books do a better job still keeping the aesthetic of the world, but still knowing that there's an outside issue. Where movies, this is where you always have the issue whenever a book becomes a movie. Movies have to keep the antagonist, the greater evil, the drawl in it a very important point. I definitely think I had another issue, which was Harry. I don't know if the books did this, or whoever. Travis, did you read the books?
I read like the first two.
Okay, Zach, did you ever
kid.
read the books?
I read the first book, and I've seen all the movies except for the very last part 2 of the last movie.
Oh, really? That's actually that's kind of I didn't know that.
But I can't remember the movies. I need to rewatch.
I only watched the first 4 movies when I was younger, and I liked the end of Goblet of Fire, and I sensed it was going over the hill of like it's all going to be dark now, and I stopped watching. And then recently, Jess and I did watch The Order of the Phoenix because she loves those later ones. I'm with you, Jake. The first 2 are my favorite. I love it's like whimsical and it's creative and it's wondrous and there's mystery and it's kids sneaking around the castle. And I like the next 2, but once it goes like they're in a war but some people like that stuff more. But yeah,
I like the wizard. No, I like the Wizarding War. Like this honestly has gotten me more hyped for the Harry Potter. Well, not Harry Potter. The Hogwarts game that's coming out at the end of the year. But again, there's a charm to it, and I think of magic being whimsical. I think that's a good word to describe it. It's silly, it's funny. People fart on accident when they actually use a spell. You know what I mean? That kind of goofy kind of stuff. Like that's just the stuff that makes me laugh. Where like now it's like Harry Potter. Holy crap! You're a 16-year-old man that has to put the whole magical world on your shoulders, and it's like
you become Shinji. It becomes Evangelion by the end.
Yeah.
I mustn't run away.
It doesn't make it bad. I think the movies are all good. I like each movie has its parts. I think out of all of them, if I had to crap on any of them, it'd probably be Order of the Phoenix. I think Order of the Phoenix was probably my least favorite out of all of them.
When I started trying to pick it back up, I watched that and I was like, I think I'm done with that lady. It's with the lady that's like they're trying to start a little secret club and she's shutting them down and my
wife, she is a Harry Potter nut. We went over this past summer to the Universal Studios thing, the Wizarding place or whatever, Wizarding World. She has these on 24/7. They're just playing in the background. But I cannot tell you anything from the movies, and I need to like sit down and watch them. But
I think your wife would love that if you did that.
She is dying for me to do it. I do need to do that soon, and I'll bring my review here.
You made her do a hankathon.
You owe this.
The hankathon is still continuing. We haven't put a pause on it, so
you owe her this.
Maybe we'll do a Harry-thon. So
there you go. I think that would be. I'm curious what you think. Travis, I agree. Order of the Phoenix sucks. Like that movie is downright. It's probably the worst one out of all of them. The ending movies really do pick it up, and like
I think I need to rewatch the first few and then get through all of them, because Jess was like Chelsea. She loves them and would like to watch through all of them with me. So
yeah,
I will say
now that you've checked that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I think the actors. I'm so glad they kept them throughout all the movies, because man, they are all phenomenal. Like I love Snape's character. I love who plays Snape. He's great. But not only that, like Harry, Hermione, and Ron, like I know some of these movies like Marvel did a good job keeping their actors, but Harry Potter and like Lord of the Rings kind of had the niche in that area, because they did so many of them and they had to keep those guys on contract and keep them around. And I would hate the movie if they had to recast somebody. Like that's how good of an actor they were. So that's just my opinion. But
did you watch Lord of the Rings yet? Because I remember a while ago.
No.
Oh, Jacob, dude.
They're like 3-hour movies.
Yeah,
I'm just not there yet.
Jacob.
Go on YouTube. Let somebody summarize it.
If you watch them, they have an intermission. You can just watch it like it's 6 movies, like you did Harry Potter.
And the only reason I work from home, so I'll put a movie on in the background and I'll like watch the movie while I'm working. That's how I get through them so quickly. And I'm able to watch them and like retain it still. But dude, Lord of the Rings just don't tickle my jollies. Like they just don't they don't get it going, man. I don't know why. Like I like D&D. I remember playing PS2. I played the Twin Towers. I played that video game because I played the Archer, the blonde dude, and I would shoot bows at people. And they have the wizard dude looking what's his name? Oh, the fatty. What's the dude I'm talking about? The white wizard. The
Gandalf?
Is it Gandalf? I was gonna say.
You're talking about the little
Gimli?
Is that who
Gimli.
it is?
Gimli,
maybe that's who it is.
So when you say that these don't do it for you, have you even tried watching it?
I think I tried one time and I fell asleep. I think it was with my dad. My dad put it on and I was watching it. I think he put on it was a third movie. What was the third one? Dude, I don't know.
The first one. It's my favorite movie.
Which one is it? I heard you had to watch The Hobbit first.
No, don't ever watch The Hobbit. Never watch that shit. Don't ever watch that. I don't care if you do watch Lord of the Rings and you like it. Don't ever watch The Hobbit. They're horrible. They're not good. They're terrible.
Yeah, you can skip those.
Just watch Fellowship of the Ring. Just watch that. You don't even have to watch all the movies. Just watch.
That's the first one?
Fellowship of the Ring. Yes.
But I heard you wanted the full experience. You have to start with the beginning.
Worry. No. God, no. The Hobbit movies are not even the full. They're nothing. They were made later. They're terrible. Just watch The Fellowship of the Ring. It's my favorite movie of all time.
We'll see what happens. I still have to watch that one football show.
Just watch the pilot of Friday Night Lights. I would say this is before Friday Night Lights, believe it or not.
Well, maybe if we made another bet and I felt good about your return, I would probably say yes. But
I'm not even asking for a bet.
I'm just a long time.
I'm just saying it's
got it
watching.
I know, but Leftovers took you a year. It might take me a year to watch this. Who knows?
Travis was on What a Games time.
He was.
If I told What a Games to watch The Leftovers, it'd be the same time.
I moved. I got married.
Life happened. Yeah, you guys should go watch Harry Potter though. And let me know what you guys think. I think it'd be good.
Well, that is another podcast in the books. We're going to go on our own journey, our own Elden Ring, to see what we discover. New TV shows to watch, new games to play, new movies to eat popcorn to, and perhaps new troubles to get into. Like me, I broke the shoe thing at one point during this podcast. Go back and see when you think it happened. I hurt my hand really bad and I didn't scream, but I did break this. But I appreciate you watching our podcast yet again. Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we are doing Hangouts. The next one, I think by the time you watch this, I'm not sure. I think it'll be up before it. We're going to be playing Golfing with Friends. So bring your putter as you watch. You'll just have it beside you. You won't do anything else with it. But thank you for watching. Travis, any last words?
Peace be with you.
Jacob?
What's the spell named? Levitiotus.
You made me disappear.